Decision Diaries with Lynn and Jamie.
Welcome to today's episode of Decision Diaries. You might notice that Jamie is leading the discussion today, and that's because Lynn and her son Sean are going to be the guests, and we're going to talk about a decision that Sean made that sort of goes against the grain of what we as parents expect when we have children, especially those who follow that traditional path of graduating from high school, going to college, and going from there. So I would like to welcome my co-host, Lynn, but more importantly today, Sean. Welcome to Decision Diaries.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. So first off, before we get into your decision not to go the straight path, what do you think of your mom doing a podcast?
She was pushing me to start a podcast for a while, actually. And I feel like when we actually did record one episode, unreleased, but she kind of led the discussion anyways. And she worked in radio in college, I guess, as well. So it kind of makes sense that she'd find her way to a podcast.
Do you think you're going to get embarrassed?
Absolutely.
Every episode. Say that again, Sean.
Every episode I listen to, I'm like, please, I want to promote this, but if there's anything said about me that I got to keep confidential, you'll never see me on Instagram again.
Well, I will tell you that my children will not listen, but you also come from a family of some crazy escapades, right? Like I remember are you saving the message on your grandmother's tombstone and how you found it on social media?
Yeah, I think we might save that one for a different podcast.
Well, that's a
good story.
Okay. So Lynn, I wanted to share, and I'm going to let you share what you learned in software, but there was a movie that I saw. It was an Israeli movie. I was actually flying back from Israel. And the character says that the day your child is born, you actually have two children. You have the child you really have and the child you hoped for. And I would say, and you tell me if you agree with this, that, when we have children, it's like our chance to get things right, like to do the things that we wish we had done or to be the parents that we wish we had had. Would you, want to expand on that for me, Lynn?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my husband and I are very big into soccer. And, we weren't straight A students, but we thought, we could fix that. We could possibly have some straight A students, maybe have like somebody that goes to Harvard. It's possible, right? And so when we, found out we were pregnant, one of the first things we bought was a soccer onesie and a soccer mobile and soccer stuffed animals and anything playing soccer was all around Sean's crib. Also his father coaches soccer. I played soccer. So very much, we thought we had a World Cup soccer player that was going to be at an Ivy League school.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. My kids too. Definitely Ivy League.
Yeah.
Okay. So at what point did you realize that I don't think I want to go to college and soccer's not my sport?
Man, soccer's always been my first love. Like I've played soccer since I was probably 3 all the way up until 18. I loved it to death. I played in high school, played on my high school varsity team. And I still love it to this day. I'm actually looking for a league in Austin, but when I started to grow, I was always interested in MMA and I decided I want to start training. And the first time I stepped on the Jiu Jitsu mats, and I started working with some of my teammates at my previous gym, I was like, this is all I've ever wanted to do. And since then, it's I've been blown out of the water with how good the community is. And I was like, I need to be a part of this community for the rest of my life. When I realized I didn't want to do college, it was about after the first half of my freshman year in college. Because I stopped going.
Yeah, he literally stopped going. But what's also important to point out is we are talking to a 2020 grad. And, I would love a podcast of just the 2020 high school grads because their experience, the end of their senior year and also going into their freshman year of college was very much online learning, and that doesn't work for everybody. And particularly for someone like Sean, he really responds better to someone who is in the classroom, passionate about what they're talking about. And the more I learned about jiu-jitsu, the more I learned that of course he would love jiu-jitsu, because it is very much that community, and it's very strategic, and it's always learning. So there's a lot to it.
Right. Okay. So you're in your freshman year, and of course your senior year was disrupted. And were you guys back in person learning going into your freshman year of college, or was that online?
Completely online. I didn't go to a single in-person college class.
Got it. Okay. So
And let me tell you how we found out how he
yeah.
was doing his freshman year. So his freshman year, after his first semester, I was keeping up with a lot of my other friends whose children were at college. So I kind of knew relative dates of when they needed to be registering for the next semester. And so I kept asking him, have you registered for the second semester? Now, keep in mind, we knew that he wasn't completely passionate about going to college. So he did use some of his own money to pay for his first couple of classes. And our agreement with him was that we would pay for college once we kind of saw some, good grades. So I knew the semester was coming up, and I said, are you going to register? We'll help you out if you're a little low on funds to register for your classes. And that's when he came to us and said, well, something's wrong with the system. It won't let me register. And then I said, well, bring it to me. And when I looked at his laptop, at the top of his little registration, it said academic probation.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think that if you had gone into a traditional classroom without COVID, that the outcome would have been different?
I mean, I definitely wouldn't be on academic probation, because I think I've actually would have attended classes.
Okay.
It would have given me something to do, but literally like sitting on a desk in my living room,
Yeah.
watching it on a laptop. So I was just like, why am I wasting my time right now? I have work in an hour. I could just be like playing video games or something else. I work in an hour and I'm spending time on college.
I wonder, it is exactly what happened. I mean, my middle daughter was a junior when COVID happened in high school. She never stepped foot in the classroom as a senior. And it absolutely, we could probably do a whole episode on how COVID affected kids. But I just wondered if you think that, that this all kind of came to you because you're like, and I get it. I would have gone crazy if I had to go to college on a computer. That just is totally not the experience.
Well,
Okay.
what was interesting is that, he definitely showed signs earlier in high school that he was not all in with, going to college. What we had hoped would come out of his first semester at college is that you weren't a big one on turning your homework in. And in college, we felt like, in college, if he had a really great professor or somebody passionate about their subject, that, he just needed to take finals. And if he had to work on projects, he would get through that. But there wouldn't be this sort of busy work, homework that he had in high school that impacted his grades. And so we kind of thought, okay, well, he's not all in. So I think we had very low expectations. We did think there was a chance that he would not continue down that college path. So then what happens, what a parent starts to think is, well, should we send him to a technical school? He needs to do something. And I think that's where the story gets really interesting, is he needs to do something. So what we're hearing from him at this point, not passionate about college, very passionate about jiu-jitsu. And he, at this point, can't even register for college because the community college is like, no, we're not going to allow you to register because we don't think you're serious. It's very important for colleges that they have students that want to be there, because there are some awards the colleges get for, moving students through the process and getting them gainfully employed. So, the college put him on probation. So there was a semester where he could not register even if he wanted to. And then we said, well, what's next? So we said, you're going to have to work more. Like, we don't want to see you sitting around the house. He picked up a second job. So that's when it gets really kind of interesting because he's doing jiu-jitsu and you're working 2 jobs. So tell us how your days started to look at that point. Tell us what you were doing at the time.
Yeah, so I was still training twice a day. I would train. Well, keep in mind, this whole time, my whole goal in life was to just be good at jiu-jitsu, and my goal was to open up a gym maybe further in the future with the current team I was representing. So I was still training really hard. Like my goal to move to follow jiu-jitsu didn't start when I moved to Austin. It started when I first started jiu-jitsu because I
Right.
stopped playing soccer and everything. I just only focused on that. When I decided to pick up a second job, I was waking up maybe 11 to go manage the UPS store. I was a manager with one of my best friends, and we kind of just ran the place, had a good time. I'd work 11 to 7, go train jiu-jitsu at 7. The next day, if I wasn't working at UPS, I'd go train at 12 and then go train at 6. And then I'd work at iFly. And when I worked at iFly, my shifts were like 8 hours, and I'd go from training in the morning to iFly, back home, next day start at UPS.
You're also forgetting he did a lot of trips to Gainesville to see his
lot of trips
girlfriend,
to Gainesville.
who he's been dating since he was 15 years old. So she was at University of Florida, Jamie, at the College of Journalism,
Wow.
following our footsteps. So we're very proud of her. So I had kind of hoped that maybe she would draw him into Gainesville. That was another one of our hopes, is that because she was at University of Florida, he might want to go there, but you didn't want to go there because there was no jiu-jitsu. And although you like visiting Gainesville, it's not a place that you wanted to live. So you are sleeping in till 11. And I want to just say something to parents out there who have a high school graduate that's sleeping till 11, that's not currently in college. And when you're heading off to work to, your full-time job, like my husband and I were, it'll piss you off. Like you're heading out the door and he's sleeping in and he gets to keep all his money, but you're paying for his food and you're paying for the house and he's not contributing any of his money to you. And then he's driving to Gainesville and they're eating sushi and you're like, where is this kid going? Like he's taking in money, but he's spending money and, there's no forward momentum. So it very much made my husband and I angry. And that's when we had the sit down. So we sat down with them and we said, we're done. This has got to change. You tell your side and I will tell my side.
Absolutely. So, to preface this, I've been competing. I've been doing really well in competitions. I think I was winning everything. There was a month where I competed 3 weekends in a row, all gold medals.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was doing super fights in a club in Orlando.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, with a
production
cage
and walkout music. But the scene in Florida is not incredible yet. It's a developing scene. And the best guys in the world are not located in Jacksonville, Florida, believe it or not.
The best people aren't located in Jacksonville, Florida, Sean.
I know.
Wait a second.
Listen, I love Jacksonville to death, but yeah, the jiu-jitsu here, it's getting better. But it's not, the best in the world. So I went, I heard that this really good competitor was coming to Daytona. And I was working at iFly at the time. I get a day off on a Sunday. And I text my buddy who runs the gym that I used to go train in Daytona every other day. I'm like, hey, are there any spots for this seminar? And that's how a bunch of jiu-jitsu people make money, is they go to seminars and you pay to learn from this person. So I paid $60 or whatever to learn from this guy who's done it all, part of the best team in the world. And that team had recently just split, with one half of the group moving to South Austin and another half of the group moving to North Austin. So I get there, I talk to him, I roll with him, and I realize this dude he's my weight, was so much better than anybody I'd ever rolled with. And I actually just put a post up about this on my Instagram. My coach, Ethan Krellinston, I was like, I need to follow this guy to the ends of the earth because he is so good. I mean, it's unbelievable, right? I go to the seminar. And about a month later is when they have the talk to me. And I'm like,
well, talk about the talk.
yeah, let's talk about the talk real quick. I get home from training. I'm sweaty. I want to go shower. They're like, sit down. I'm like, all right. Obviously very mad at me. They go, you're wasting your time. You got 3 options, buddy. Go back to college and move out. Go join the military. Or follow this dude that you met once to Austin, Texas, and go train with him.
Yeah, I think the way we said it was, you need to get moving. You need to get busy moving in a direction. And so coming back and forth between Gainesville is not a direction. Going and working, 2 jobs that you don't want to pursue a career in is not a direction. So if jiu-jitsu is it, tell us where we need to send you. And we were thinking Brazil. I mean, that's what you naturally think of when you think of jiu-jitsu. And instead he says Austin, Texas. And I was like, Austin, Texas? We can do Austin, Texas. Right, Jamie? Because we are Texas born, but I do have some relatives in Houston and in Dallas. And I thought, great. And we had just taken a vacation to Austin, Texas. So I was like, okay, I'm familiar with that. It's in the United States. I think we can do this. And I said, so what do we need to do to get you there? And it was overwhelming for you. He was like, well, how do I get there? And I'm like, well, you work a lot, just like I did, saving up for my store. And you just go. You just have to jump into it. You don't ask the how, right, Jamie? You don't ask about the how.
No, you just have to know what you want, and the how will present itself. Right?
Yeah, which it kind of did.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about how you got there.
I would also say that it's very clear hearing Sean's story that he was clear, like jiu-jitsu is it. When you know what you want, it makes it much versus I'm wavering here. Like this is not, this is not it. So, right? Would you?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. The second I stepped on the competition mats, I was like, yeah, this is for me,
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember my first competition. I got smoked in my first match, and
he was very nervous.
But it was so cinematic. I walked on the match, and literally AC/DC's Thunderstruck was playing in the background, with that cool guitar riff, and I was like, oh, this is some movie moment. And I get on the mat, and I just get murdered, right? So it was just something where I'm like, I love this, I love the adrenaline. I've always been a competitor. This is what I want to do. Yeah, and to preface the talk, the other place I was thinking about moving, funnily enough, was San Diego, because they've got a great scene down there.
See, you could have lived with Jamie.
I could have lived with Jamie.
Well, and so it was so overwhelming, right? We've got the target, and it's Austin. Now he's got to call his girlfriend and tell her.
Tell me, let's do a timeline. So give me a timeline. So you have the talk approximately.
So August 20th is when I went to the seminar. August 20th, 2021.
Today is August 20th, right?
Oh my God. Oh, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually made a post about it yesterday.
I will say, yeah, it was around that August timeframe. And then it was too overwhelming for him to go right away. We were thinking, oh, you can go to Austin and maybe stay in a residence inn and see how you feel about it. Stay there or get an Airbnb for a month or so. And that was a little too overwhelming. So instead we went with plan B, which was work, put your money to the side, see if you can find somebody that you can live with in Austin through the jiu-jitsu community that, can kind of be your support, guide you through that. And then, and let's have a target of January. And so we were leading up to that January, and there were times that we were like, oh, he's not going to make January. He's not going to make January. And then you ran into a friend, or I don't know where you met.
Yeah. So at that gym I used to train at in Daytona, Sterling's my former roommate. He was also at that seminar. He also met Ethan, and he'd actually visited my gym's called the B Team. He'd also visited B Team the day they opened up. So his goal, and he's from Texas, his goal was always to move back to Texas to be closer to his parents, but also pursue jiu-jitsu because he's a really good grappler. And I'm sitting there at work at iFly on a Tuesday, Nothing's going on because like kids are in school, and I get a text, "Hey, do you want to move to Austin?"
Yeah.
Out of
That's where
nowhere.
the universe.
Out of nowhere. And I just responded, "Let's do it."
Wait, and you are 19 or
I'm
20?
19.
You're 19 and he is
24.
4. So we were kind of like, okay, he's got this 24-year-old who's a native of Austin who can figure out where they need to live. That's, a decent place to live, but not overly expensive. He's a college graduate, mechanical engineering or
Embry-Riddle, so
Embry-Riddle,
aerospace
right?
engineering.
And his roommate also wanted to do professional jiu-jitsu and was already in with the B team. So he would do those introductions for you. So it just seemed like things were really falling together. I called relatives and said, this is what's happening. Please be, available just in case my son has an emergency. We can all swoop in and get him out. So yeah, things just kind of fell in line. And then even better is Freya got on board, your girlfriend got on board and realized how super cool Austin was for marketing.
So she didn't realize this at first. When I first told her I was going to move to Austin, she was like so worried that it was going to be like an old Western town where they're doing gun battles every day at 12 and there's no Wi-Fi in the middle of the desert. They're pumping water, But the first time she came and visited me, she's like, this is a super cool city. It's a good town, great food.
For marketing and advertising and everything, it is the young person's town.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it on reality TV shows. Okay, but take me through. So everything is unfolding for you. You decide to go. When do you actually go from the time that you had this conversation, August 20th?
My birthday.
Yeah, probably 4.5 months later.
Okay.
4.5 months from the seminar. So I probably got the text from Sterling. It must have been October because I had actually quit the UPS store in February of that year. And I went back for the holiday rush to make some extra money.
Okay.
Which was about November-ish.
Yeah. No, but we drove.
It was not a lot of time between the conversation and us packing up my car and driving 15 hours.
Yeah.
Probably 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah. It was 3 months and it just felt so much better. And for, any parent out there whose child has sort of what I like to call an unconventional dream. And I've got one other close friend of mine whose daughter, is wants to be a professional ballerina. And these are very unconventional dreams that you need to do when you're young. You're young and your body's in good shape. These are athletic dreams. So you have to go for it. And, you're lucky we're sort of open-minded entrepreneurial family. And we're like, just go for it. And
I also
it's been nothing but good.
From what I understand, like, Sean, your parents are not supporting you financially. Is that correct?
They take care of all the stuff with my car, car payment, car insurance. And if, I need to go to the doctor, I take care of that myself or they take care of that for me.
Yeah. I have health insurance, cell phone.
Yeah. But it's on me to like go make sure that these things are happening as far as like oil change, all that stuff. I take care of that. Rent and my gym dues and my food, that all comes from me unless I'm like in a really bad spot and I need some help. I can always ask. They're not going to be like, if I was asking every month, it'd be a problem. But if I'm asking you.
So let me ask you a question. Any regrets about your decision?
Absolutely not.
That's awesome. I love that. Okay. And what is the jiu-jitsu career look like? Like, give me an idea of what's ahead for you. I mean, have you thought about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously I'm training at one of the best gyms in the world. I say we're probably the top 1 or 2 team in the world. All eyes are on us when we go to competitions. We have a great media team, great sponsors. I picked up a sponsor myself. I feel like that's always the first step in going professional. I have a gear sponsor called Robles. They hook me up with free stuff. They don't pay me yet because I'm still a pretty small name in the community. But they take care of if I need like some more gear, I don't have to pay for it. They just send me, a whole package. That's kind of where it starts. next, I'd say probably pick up some more sponsors and then start winning more competitions and then going on seminars. I'm planning to do my first seminar in a week at my friend's gym in Daytona, where I actually met my coach.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I'm probably just going to do a donation based because I don't think I'm good enough to have people pay a ton of money to see me. But you can literally tour the U.S. I've got coaches touring Europe right now, going on seminar tours, and you can make a pretty good living doing that. Competitions, there's not a huge amount of money in the sport, but it's growing. The biggest competitions are coming up. I've got ADCC trials in October, sorry. And that is like, if you win trials, you're set for life. Like you're done. That's it. You win trials, you go to ADCC, which is basically our Olympics, and you're elite of the elite. You're the best. You're one of the best 12 people in the world.
Yeah, well, you still have a ways to go. I just want to say it's not a quick and fast journey, because we are talking about you have to go up through the belt system. Right now, you're a blue belt. The next belt is purple belt. It's a long process, and then on top of that, you really are trying to get those sponsorships. And we kind of talked about, you are in the place of Austin with all these marketing groups all around you, and I'm like, I know you could probably pick up some more sponsors, but you're sort of waiting till you get to that next belt, or you're waiting for that next competition. There also have been some failures that you've learned from. I just want to say that everybody learns from these things, and he did have a failure that cost you financially, and that's where we leaned in and we were like, dust yourself off. We're family. We're here for you. So we helped him pay his rent, because he used most of his rent money to go out to that competition as we call it, in Sacramento, that did not go well. And we were very concerned about that competition because, Jamie, I don't know if you know this, but they cut serious weight before a competition. And so having him out in Sacramento as he's cutting weight in a hotel by himself was kind of a scary experience for us that we do not want to go through again. Next time, either he'll have a buddy or we will fly out and make sure he's okay. But the cutting weight part is just part of the sport, and you have to get good at it. And you were not good at it that time. No. So it really zapped him. And it's an interesting concept that they have to do, but they lose weight. Yeah.
That's ridiculous to have to put your body.
Well, it's part of the sport. Yeah.
Healthy. Okay, so how old can you be in jiu-jitsu? Like what's the age span?
Well, it can be at least at the highest level. I've met people who are 17 at the highest level, but they've been training since they were kids. As far as old, having a career, opening a gym will kind of ensure that no matter how old you get, you'll still be able to train, but you'll have a stream of income. As far as competition, due to modern medicine, and by that I mean steroids,
which you're not taking,
which I'm not taking, but it's in the sport. We have a huge problem in the sport with steroid abuse. You can probably compete into your late 30s, early 40s at the highest level.
But jiu-jitsu is kind of like running or yoga or these type of activities that you're part of a community sort of for life, and people continue doing it all their lives. So you've got famous people out there like Joe Rogan, Mark Zuckerberg does jiu-jitsu, and it's what they do to stay fit.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a lifelong thing to stay fit, just like you can play soccer, but you obviously can't play world soccer at 50, but you can still play soccer at 50. Right. And then I know when you have children, you're going to be expecting little jiu-jitsu kids. And we hope they play soccer.
And they're going to be the ones that go to Harvard, right? Like you just
they're going to be the ones that go to Harvard. It's all going to come back around.
So wrapping this all up, Sean, if someone's listening and they are considering making a decision that is not the typical path, what would your advice be?
Go for it. I mean, there's no point in not living while you're young. You don't have to follow this typical path that everyone sets and resign yourself to like a normal life. You can go out, take risks, and you're going to be okay. Serving jobs are not hard to find. Bartending jobs are not hard to find. You can pay your rent. It's going to be okay. Just decide to do something that you're going to love and that you're not going to regret missing out on when you're young.
That was great. That perfectly said. And you know what? Really, really mature of you to, and also Lynn, kudos to you for, there are parents that would cut their child off or, and you're letting Sean be Sean, which is exactly what we are supposed to do as parents.
Well, I think what's really important in life is you have to find your passion. And, as you've talked about, and I've talked about, it's been a long journey for you and I to find their passion. So it's so interesting to me if you can have a young person that finds their passion, because there's so many people that are still looking for it. And as a parent, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to sort of help them identify it and then support them as they pursue their passion. And it may be their career. It may just be a passion for a while, but you have to go for it. And I can't imagine if either one of my children didn't find their why in life, right? Jamie, we're trying to help them find their why.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Well, it was great catching up with you, Sean. I have known you since before you were born. I've given you baths. So
yeah, we have a great picture of them in the bathtub. Maybe we should put that on our site.
There you go. I think that might make my oldest child a little angry, but we have those pictures. It was great to talk to you. I am going to sign off because we've got some tropical storms hitting California and I need to.
That's so crazy.
Help with the house.
All right. Well, you stay safe. And thank you so much for talking to Sean today while he is in Jacksonville before he flies back to Austin. So good luck to Sean. Thanks everyone for listening.